Hi class. Let's start this week by taking a look at the standards. You can see the standards are listed here, and all of these apply in some way or another to infants and toddlers. There are a few that we focus on a little bit more than others for this class. To begin with, Standard 1 is really at the heart of infant and toddler care. And it's about relationships. I realize that we have a wide range of people in this class. Some of you are parents taking the class for more information about your child. Some of you are new to the field. Some of you have been working in the field for years. And some of you work at NAEYC accredited centers. Regardless of the perspective you have, you can see that relationships truly are a critical piece of information in the puzzle of providing high quality infant and toddler care, and it's standard number 1 for NAEYC. As you read through the standards, I want you to think about how each standard impacts infant and toddler care. We're going to talk more later in our class about curriculum. We will certainly be talking about teaching and intentional instruction. Later, we'll talk about assessment of early learning experiences in children when we're focusing on infants and toddlers. Health is another big area, and some of those issues were addressed when we talked about licensing standards. And last week, we focused on teachers and teacher qualifications. NAEYC continues their standards when they talk about families, community relationships, and physical environment, and leadership and management. All of those are really important when we talk about high quality infant and toddler programs. My goal for you this week with regard to the standards is that you become very familiar with them and that you really think about the impact that each standard has on the level of care for infants and toddlers and what they receive in an NAEYC accredited program. Some centers abide by NAEYC standards but choose, for a variety of reasons, not to be accredited. Regardless, the standards are considered to be a benchmark of high quality care. Next, we want to take a look at the actual accreditation criteria, and this is broken down into areas just as the standards were. You see right here at the top of page 2, Standard 1, Relationships. This opening page really gives us some very good information about what we're seeing when we look at the criteria. Let's start right here at the top. We've got the criterion number and the age category. So you are going to be scrolling through and looking for things that have an I and a T, or some of them just have an I. Next would tell you the category of assessment. Is it required? The ones that are required show up in red. You'll see those as you scroll through. The center must meet those criteria. Those are things like not using corporal punishment. And then the source of evidence. Observable criteria means a validator would be able to walk into the classroom and observe that criteria. In some cases, it would appear in the program portfolio, a classroom portfolio, the teaching staff survey, or a family survey. Some criteria appear in more than one place. Some only appear in one place. Next, we have what the criteria says, and if there is more than one detailed part. For instance, in this case, we are talking about teachers addressing challenging behavior, but there are 3 things. One is assessing the function, and the second is convening families and professionals to develop individualized plans. Third, using positive behavior support strategies. After that, we see there is guidance for the overall criteria that helps people know exactly what they should be aiming toward. When we head down into the criteria, we see there is some different coding going on. For instance, this purple area here is not currently assessed, but it is certainly best practices. Look at the item. Teachers are sensitive to family concerns and reassure family members who are concerned about leaving children in non-family care. Well, duh. Of course we do that, but this is not a criterion that is required at this time or assessed. It's simply considered to be best practices. If we continue down further, Here's one of those red ones I was talking about. Required. Teaching staff never use physical punishment such as shaking or hitting, and do not engage in psychological abuse or coercion. Take some time to scroll through the criterion. There are a lot of them. However, when you read them, I think you'll find that most of them are things we would expect any high quality program to engage in. The last thing I want to focus on is this week's discussion question. It's a little bit different from what you're used to. Rather than me writing a question and everyone responding, what I decided was that I would allow you each to come up with your own question, and then based on that question, people will answer. Here's what it says. After reading about the 10 NAEYC program standards and exploring the accreditation criteria, write a question that will generate further conversation about NAEYC accreditation and working with infants and toddlers. Be sure to read the discussion questions that are already posted so you don't duplicate. Read through it to be sure your question is clear and easily understood. It should require that students use the resources to answer and give them cause to reflect. Ensure the question is something that will facilitate meaningful dialogue. You'll need to check back to see if anyone has questions as the week progresses. Don't leave anyone hanging. Then you'll need to respond to at least 2 classmates. At least one of your responses should have your required citation of the week. NAEYC has gone to great lengths to identify key standard criteria for high quality program. Whether or not you work in a program that is accredited, we all have things that we can learn and improve on going forward as we provide infant and toddler care. Have a great week, and don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions.